Morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching the Footy Social Club this Friday. It's almost the weekend. Gaz, you join me fresh off of a little alcoholic beverage with the old dear for me yesterday, wasn't it, mate? A few vodka and cokes.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, vodka cokes for your mum and that, and so that. But the old Moretti for the Gaz. But no, she's been gazzed in Liverpool, so we took her to the nice spots around by Matthew Street. She sees a little bit of Beatles stuff, and I think she's on back now.
Back, yeah, happy. Saw the photos, absolutely loved it. Look, before we get into Newcastle, which people joining into the chat now, into the stream as well, we're going to be basically talking about all things Newcastle for probably something like the next hour and a half to 2 hours. These streams seem to be going on longer and longer, which I absolutely love because you guys get into the chat. So very quickly, Gaz, out of the blue, not only did you do the Kudos deal in record time, literally did he even have a medical, I'm wondering, but Morgan Gibbs-White, you've paid the buyout clause and in comes Morgan Gibbs-White as well. Are you happy with that?
Delighted, absolutely delighted. Yeah, might have to up my league position, thinking where we might finish. No, we're having a go. It's good. It's good to see Tottenham do this. About bloody time. Obviously, shouldn't be finished yet. We still need a 6, though.
Still need a 6.
So that's still a problem, an area that we do need to address. Because Basuma he needs to realise that Basuma isn't all that. And the hard part for a new manager coming in, he's probably seen Basuma in his pomp in Brighton, and he was brilliant at Brighton. Come to Spurs, and he was unreal. But he has fell off a cliff since then, right? So I just hope he realises that this guy doesn't want it anymore and get somebody else in, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a massive move from Spurs. Massive move from Spurs to do both of those. And I'm sure there's now maybe more in the pipeline. I'm not impressed about Noni Madueke. I've seen he's turned off all his, you can't comment on his social media, such as the abuse that Arsenal fans are saying about him. There's a petition out to not sign him. I don't agree with all of that, but I'm not thrilled by the fact that we're going to be signing Noni Madueke. But look, we're here to talk Newcastle, Gaz. Should we get straight into it? We're going to give basically our Premier League 1 to 11 of all time with a manager. There's a few little twists and turns along the way, some that Gaz doesn't agree with either, and some that I think will be nailed on. And you know, what I really want from you guys is get yourselves in there, give us your comments, tell me where we're wrong. And look, I thought yesterday it got pretty good. For Newcastle fans in there was a lot of talk about Isak, and I thought Newcastle fans in general handled that absolutely excellently. It's an opinion. That's what really it's all about on the Footy Social Club, having an opinion. There was Liverpool fans in there. I know Curtis LFC was in and whatever else, and everyone was talking backwards and forwards. But ultimately, I think as Curtis said, and I think Jeff was another one that said it as well, it was good debate, good opinion, and no one was rude to anyone else, and keep that up as well. So look, let's get into it. First one up, morning to everyone that's in there as well. I'll come to some of these in just a moment. The first one's easy, Gaz, isn't it? I mean, there's some honourable mentions that we'll have as well at the end, but how good was prime Shay Given at Newcastle?
Quality, mate. Quality. I mean, just looking at his appearances, 354 appearances. That says it all. Absolute club legend. He talks so well, and he does a lot of podcasts and things now as well, and he comes across really, really good. But yeah, he was so consistent, wasn't he? He was so solid and just played so many games. Just looking at there, that's like, what's that, 12
years at the club, 354 appearances and 91 clean sheets. Now, when you put the 91 clean sheets into perspective,
that's impressive, isn't it?
It's impressive considering Newcastle were not a great Newcastle for large portions of Shay Given's actual career as well.
Yeah, and the type of club they are too. They're not like a defensive club either. Not like we're going to sit on this, and there's always having a go. So yeah, 91. You can understand if it's like a Everton and a Pickford. Do you know what I mean? And Burnley and people like that. But Newcastle had a go. So Shay gets in this easy. I'd be surprised if the lads in the thing, say it's not Shay. I'd be very surprised.
How do you think Shay Given would go in the modern world of playing football as a Premier League goalkeeper today? Because he was one that. Look, a lot of teams went longer but he could kick,
Yeah.
he could use his feet. He could pick a pass as well. The one thing that always impressed me is because he's not the tallest of goalkeepers, but he was very, very agile at getting into those far corners for saves. He made himself big as well. I think he's an all-time Premier League great as a goalkeeper. Obviously, went on to play for Manchester City. He played for Aston Villa as well, from memory.
Yeah.
As well, but he was part of that new revolution at Manchester City when obviously was it the ties that took over first or whatever else. He ended up at Man City, but an exceptionally good goalkeeper for Newcastle United.
Yeah, hands down, 100%.
Let's have a look down in the chat here. Morning. Who have we got? Morning to Daniel. Morning to Jeff. Super happy. We got the Elanga deal done before Spurs took over. Might have been a little more expensive the other way around. MFS said couldn't be late. Iniesta one Adam. Good afternoon, Christian and Gaz, and to the chat. Love it that you guys are all talking. Spurs are cooking, says Vincent. Cooking on Gas Mark 3. At the moment, they still need a lot more. Quick one for the Geordies as well. Jordan Henderson, breaking news, joining Brentford of all clubs. 2-year deal for Jordan Henderson at 35 years old. Brentford are changing what they are doing, and they're going to be in huge trouble later this season. Christian Norgard out, obviously joining Arsenal. Jordan Henderson brings in a heap of experience, but certainly not the legs, I don't think, to get around a Brentford midfield, but that will be interesting to see. What else have we got here? Tyler, 6 years now, every summer a Chelsea player in. It's a joke, Tyler. I completely agree. I'm not happy with the Noni Madueke deal in any way, shape or form. And for what I understand, Tyler, I'll be doing another podcast after this on the Arsenal Social Club talking about transfers with Aussie Matt. It looks like we'll be not going for Eze either. It looks like it will be Noni Madueke. Victor Gyökeres, I think, will happen. But yeah, no Eze now either. That's shocking. Arsenal I've missed the boat massively here. What have we got here? Kevin Keegan. We'll talk about Kevin Keegan later on as manager. Maybe he's in it. Maybe he's not. We shall see. Morning to the Blades Ramble. Hope you're well, Jimmy. I will catch up with you later on, my friend. Excuse me. Jeff says, don't need to do this show, lads. I have the right answers already, and goes on to say, Sells in goal, centre back of Bramble, Boom Song. Jesus Christ. Kapaka. Boom Song's in there. There's some players in there I've never even heard of. Shelby, I've heard of. Afay, yeah. Cabella, Luque, Rivera, Givash, yeah, Jesus Christ, and Joe fucking
Stefan Givash, remember him? What a
waste, exactly. Some shocking players in there. Gabriel Obertan, wasn't he at Man United? Yeah. Didn't he look like a peanut? Jesus,
he was bought.
Yeah, Shay, what a legend, says Vincent. Given totally agrees, says Stephen Field. Morning, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, look. Who's the competition that we could have talked about against Shay Given? Shaka Hislop, Pavel's, Steve Harper. Yeah, didn't even think of Steve Harper. Where does Steve Harper guys rank amongst the Newcastle greats? You know, he stuck around for a long time and then got his opportunity. Pavel Cernacek, the late Pavel Cernacek as well. You know, a wonderful, a good goalkeeper in that early Premier League era. You think of the likes of Shaka Hislop and Pavel Cernacek, Gaz, playing in the Premier League when it wasn't hugely full of, international players either.
No. It's like it was a new thing, wasn't it? Aussie, I think like 94 and 95 was Aussie and stuff.
When they had those huge, colourful goalkeeper shirts with the big Newcastle brown ale, the shoulder pads. Oh, those Newcastle shirts. Newcastle shirts have always were better back in those days. But yeah. Very, very good goalkeepers that they've had. Obviously, but yeah, Shay sticks out. There's plenty of you guys down in the chat here. What's it say here? Lads, could Sunderland survive? I mean, no, Sunderland won't survive. Sunderland will not survive. Harper didn't play enough, but a good goalkeeper, says Stephen. How we didn't even win the FA Cup under Keegan is truly confusing. Here we go. We're talking about more. Harper was your number 2, solid 6 to 7 out of 10 every game. I think he was good. Love Steve Harper, says Vincent. So look, Steve Harper gets an honourable mention. Cernacek, Shaka Hislop as well. But that man, Shay Given, kicks off our goalkeeper. And Gaz, what formation have we gone with today?
You've gone old school 4-4-2. We put some good similar players in, but for me, I'd have gone 4-3-3 because I can't believe we've left out a couple of people up top, which they'll see in a minute. But we've gone old school 4-4-2 with some old
Gaz,
school
I can't believe you didn't think Alan Shearer didn't get into this team. Unbelievable. Dear. Pope and Krul are very good as well for you too. Yeah, Nick Pope probably not been at the club long enough. Tim Krul, good goalkeeper as well. It's very, very difficult to name them all. Tim Krul definitely a very good goalkeeper for Newcastle. I don't think Pope's been there long enough to maybe have the biggest of shout outs. Let's go right back, and this one's going to upset them, Gaz, straight off the bat. Warren Barton in at right back for me.
He's got to come in. Yeah, he's got to come in. He's got to come in. See, he was a key part, right? Okay, of the obviously the entertainers there, right? In the 90s, and he was just solid, and I liked him. I thought he was a great player, and Trips is. He's don't get me wrong. Trippier's been good, very creative. But we had Trippier at Spurs. He's solid, Trippier, but I think we just have to give it to a little bit more nostalgia, maybe because we're just showing our age a bit more. But he just edges it for me. I think we both agreed on this one.
Look, Warren Barton played for Newcastle for roughly 7 years, 164 appearances, and he was an ever-present under that Keegan team, the team that nearly pushed Manchester United all the way in 95, 96. A very, very reliable right back, and again, we talk about right backs that got forward, that crossed the ball in the modern game. Warren Barton was that as well. And arguably, Gaz, a little bit unlucky, given that England had other right backs available. I think right through the early 90s, the mid 90s, the Gary Nevilles, the Lee Dixons, the Paul Parkers, and stuff like that. Warren Barton was actually unlucky not to be part of it, but a very good professional, very good professional.
Born in the wrong era almost, for sure. And going up against when United was so dominant with Gary Neville and people like Dixon and who else was there, Rob Jones and Liverpool, people like that. He grew up that sort of like in a tough right back situation. I mean, Stevie Carr from Spurs, he also went to Newcastle as well,
Ireland.
There's a few people there that but Trippier was good. Trippier's dead balls are really good. Free kicks are good. Don't get me wrong. And Trippier had a real good short spell, in my opinion, a couple of seasons where he was really good. But I'd give it the longevity and the nostalgia to Barton, in my opinion.
What have we got here? Trips on ability. Barton, a good athlete, but footballer not as good, says Stephen. More afternoon, evening to Gavin, who's now gone from Vietnam to Bali, making his way around the globe, settling in for a few beers this Friday night. Vincent says, growing up with the entertainers, Barton was the man, but Tripp's pedigree can't be looked past. Trippier could have easily been in this as well. Easily. Absolutely. Take nothing away for how good Trippier has been. And Gaz, when you think of when Trippier came in from, it was Atletico Madrid came in from, wasn't it? When Newcastle were down near the bottom of the table. Eddie Howe, I think, comes in at that point as well. And he scored the really important free kick from memory. Yes, Trippier is an exceptionally good right back, versatile, can play left back as well. We've seen that with England as well. I just think I like the nostalgia of what Warren Barton was. You got the captain's armband on in that photo as well. I think in his own right, he was a leader.
Yeah, I was gutted when Tottenham got rid of Trippier. I thought he was great so we had obviously Kyle Walker, and obviously he went, and then Trippier, when Kyle Walker come back in, he was great. He was always fighting with Walker for that sort of for that right back spot, and he was brilliant. And when he went, I was thinking, why have we sold him for 20 million quid? I was thinking, that's a big mistake getting rid of him. And we struggled for a while until obviously we got Porro. But it's he could have easily got into this one, mate, easily. But it's only by a skin of it's topsy turvy, very close.
He's got a great hairstyle, mate, as well. Love that modern hairstyle. The two blonde boys in John Beresford at left back and and Warren Barton at right back. Who was that? Gavin Peacock as well, I think it was, at play centre. Steve Howe. There's lots. There's so many names that we haven't even got on this list. Everyone is saying Trippier. So maybe, guys, this is the first contentious one of the 11. Let's go left back. I think this one sells itself when you look at it. Jose Enrique, what a player he was for Newcastle.
And Liverpool too.
And Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah, very attack-minded, wasn't he? Spanish, and it had quite a good song about Enrique, even the Scousers. I forgot what it's called now. Something about paella and all that stuff. It'll come to me a bit, but yeah, they had obviously 4 years there. It's really composed, strong, bombing forward, solid, wasn't he? He was real good. I struggled in this position thinking of any others, to be honest.
There are others. There's Celestine Babayaro, ex-Chelsea. There's Olivier Bernard who comes to mind. You could have had Dan Burn at left back as well. He's not even going to. I'm going to put it out here as breaking news. Dan Burn's not even going to get an honourable mention in this show. You could have had Dan Burn. Gaz, do you think if Lewis Hall stays injury free, do you think you could be talking about Lewis Hall as an all-time great for Newcastle at left back?
Yeah, 100%. I said this Lewis Hall. I'm a big fan of this Lewis Hall. There's a lot in this kid. I tell you, you're going to see a lot. I think he's going to be England's left back. I told you. I said he is going to be England's starting left back in many next World Cup, things like that. I think he's going to be really, really good. So for me, I just got this funny feeling with Newcastle left back area when you just what you just reeled off there after sort of Enrique and them. The quality isn't there. It's a tough. It must have been a position they really sort of struggled with. They might tell us different in the chat, but
Iniesta Wijnaldum's just thrown in Gutierrez as well. Do you remember him? The long pony. Gutierrez was good. Left midfield as well. Gutierrez, but I think he tucked in at left back. Gutierrez was a good player as well.
I'd be stunned if they don't pick Enrique. I'd be stunned if they didn't say Enrique.
Yeah. What have we got here? Livramento in 2 years will replace Trent. We'll see. Livramento's going in the right place. The right place is definitely as well. Gavin Peacock, haven't heard that name in a while, says Vincent. Yeah. Stephen agrees with Jose Enrique. Enrique was so good before his injury. Jose Enrique and Gutierrez, nice left flank between 2008 and 2011. Left back is difficult, says Jeff, as there have been a lot of dodgy ones at the club. Yeah. My personal top three, Santon, Hall and Beresford. Santon was good as Davide.
Yeah.
John Beresford was a good left back, mate. John Beresford was a really good left back.
Oh, yeah. No, I still give it Enrique, but Beresford, yeah, we shouldn't have missed him off. Yeah. Was he still Premier League?
Yeah, Keegan's era, mate. When Joey Barton definitely not in this team. When Warren Barton was right back, you had John Beresford at left back, a couple of blonde twins.
Yeah.
Jose Enrique, over 4 years, made 119 appearances. A memorable moment. Cast your mind back to the time that he was part of the team that won the championship at Cantor after relegation, then starred in the Premier League return. Rock solid versus the top sides. And that earned him a move to Liverpool where, he went on to be a very, very good left back for Liverpool. Was replaced by Andy Robertson, who came in from Hull. I think was Jose Enrique. So look, very good with that one. Matt Target, says MFS. Blimey, Matt Target. There we go. Paul Dummett was there for like 13 years somehow. I always saw him in the weak link, but Pardew, Carver, McLaren, Rafa and Bruce liked him. None of those managers are going to get an honourable mention. Let me tell you. None of those are getting. Not even Steve Bruce. But yes, Jose Enrique. Right, let's go on to centre backs. And this was tough, Gaz. This was tough.
This is where we've dropped the ball in one place here because I think this other guy should be in. But go on.
All right. First up, Fabian Schär. You wanted Woodgate.
Yeah.
But let's talk Schär just quickly. Let's talk Schär. Obviously, currently a present-day centre-half for Newcastle. Been there since 2018. 145 appearances, 12 goals as well, which gives him an aerial threat in the opposition box. Scored some memorable goals as well in his time at the club. Loved by the fans, loved by the Newcastle fans in this chat group as well. The reason I fought with you, and yes, we did fight, the reason I fought with you over Woodgate is Woodgate just purely didn't play enough games for as good as what Woodgate was.
Yeah. For the player he was, he didn't play enough. He had a short stint, 2003, 2004. But wow, Woodgate was quality though, mate. He was quality, and when we had him, he was brilliant. So maybe I'm looking at some things that when we had with him with King and Ledley King and that, we were solid, like, and I just can't believe Woodgate doesn't get in this team. But I do agree with the other centre half as well, which will come on as a sec. But Shaw, I like Shaw. I like how he pops up with a lot of goals too. More of a modern day player we've got now and pops up with goals. He got into our combined. We did a combined Newcastle thing the other day with somebody else. Versus Chelsea or something.
Yeah,
and I think Shaw just snuck in that one as well. We left Botman out, didn't we? But for me, I'd still edge it for Woodgate, but Shaw's decent.
Morning to Baxi. Jeff Barlow's just thrown in an unbelievable another name that hasn't been, not thought about, but not made the honourables. I could have had 10 pages of honourables. They'll come up at the end. Dabizas.
Yeah, Nicolas Dabizas, yeah.
Got turned beautifully by Bergkamp, though, for that wonder goal. So Dabizas can't be in for that reason.
Got too tight to Bergkamp. Don't get too tight to Bergkamp. You look silly.
The Iceman. Shah is in the best attacking centre-backs in the league, passing, shooting, ball carrying, and is better than most strikers. Woodgate reminds me of Sven Botman. I pray it doesn't turn out like that for him. MFS is a say. Philippe Albert is nominated. We'll come to maybe him in just a moment as the other centre-half partnership. There's so many to talk about. Shah, Woodgate, best centre-backs I've seen at the Toon. But Shah, for me, says Stephen, we're doing something right, Gaz. We're on it. Who didn't get turned by Bergkamp? Well, Dennis was the king at those moments as well. Look, I think Fabian Schär deserves to be in this team. I like Sven Botman. I really did like Sven Botman, but again, not fit enough. Woodgate, if he'd played more games, would have got in to this team for sure. But if I bring up Jonathan Woodgate, Gaz, played one season for Newcastle and made 28 apperances. It's not enough to be in your all-time Premier League X11. It deserves an honourable mention for how good he was.
I get that, and that's probably why Shah has snuck in. But I get that. But if you have to go player for player, outside of Newcastle, I suppose I would definitely say Woodgate.
Giniesta One Adam says Shah is too underrated amongst our fan base. Our fans wanted to replace him every summer last 5 years or so. So I think we've got something right there with Fabian Schär. Maybe I was right to go with it. Let's bring up the next one. This man, Gaz, was silky as let's talk about Philippe Albert. Obviously, everyone remembers that goal, Gaz.
Yeah, that goal, United, the chip. Yeah, it was it? There was 4-0. It went 5-0. Chip made it 5-0.
5-0.
Chip made it 5-0. Yeah. Oh my god! But Schmeichel was just like Schmeichel used to just be a beast of a goalkeeper, didn't he? And he come out and he made him look stupid. And it was like, oh my god, to chip Schmeichel as a centre back. That's taking the piss. So he was quality, wasn't he, Philippe Albert? Very stylish, Belgian, they've got it. I mean, the Belgians, they have it. Alderweireld, Vertonghen, they've just got this sort of thing about them, they don't mind playing centre back, but you can just tell they were good players in school, and they just end up playing centre back, saying arse. But I think this was a good choice. I like this guy from the chip alone. He had to go in. Colaccini, I like too.
Yeah,
but he was close. I think we're right with Albert.
5 years playing for Newcastle, 96 appearances and 8 goals, further solidifying the fact that, he could play football outside of defending as well. And obviously memorable for that deft chip over Schmeichel, which will go down as one of Manchester United's worst days in history, when everything just went right for Newcastle at St James's Park in 1996. One of the most iconic goals, not just for Newcastle, but in Premier League history as well. And I think what he deserves a mention about as well, Gaz, is the fact that in those mid-90s, centre-halves weren't footballing centre-halves. Yes, throughout history we've had them, the Bobby Moores of this world and whatever else, the Beckenbauers, yes, Maldinis, Costa Curta, there's been good ones, but they were few and far between. and in steps a player like Philly Albert, who could defend, definitely, but he could also bring the ball out. He could play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think in that period of time, we weren't talking about the likes of Rio Ferdinand playing then or whatever else. Most defenders then were the likes of Tony Adams, Martin Keown. It was about snapping the centre forward in half and knocking it long.
And clearing it, or clearing it out.
Philly Albert wasn't that. He was silky.
Yeah, exactly. He's a player, wasn't he? Yeah, for sure.
Sure. 100%. Yeah. Jeff Barlow says, Albert was not the greatest defender, but was a joy to watch. Exactly. Yeah, he could defend. He could defend. Remember, Newcastle were glitz and glam at this point in time as well. Not necessarily, not necessarily the best team, but in any way, shape or form, but they were glitz and glam, and he suited very much the way Newcastle wanted to play. It was in their DNA. Philly Albert ticked that DNA hands down for me. And by the way, guys, managed to find some absolutely brilliant photos of these players back in the day when football photos were grainy as anything. Got some absolute banging photos of some of the older players. So Philly Albert in a centre half. How are we doing there so far, guys? Gavin wants to know, where is Jamie Vardy going? Question. Jamie Vardy has been offered to Manchester United, Gavin. You might have missed that on your travels over there. But yeah, Jamie Vardy has been offered to Manchester United on a free transfer. How do you feel about midnight, Chris? You will nibble. I'm adamant. If we're talking about Noni Madueke going to Arsenal, I am disappointed. Only issue with Shah is he attracts all the Geordie women. Well, there's not, for you Geordies is, sloppy seconds, I suppose, always to go around. One thing, here you go, Jeff Barlow, Shah was an amazing player for 3.5 million. In a day where 50 million looks like chump change, 3.5 million is unbelievable. Right, let's move on. From one silky centre half to a silky left winger, Gaz. The men loved him for his football ability. The women loved him for his je ne sais quoi.
yeah. I remember, oh my God, what a player Ginola was. I loved him when he was at Spurs, and what a player he was for Newcastle. Absolute gem. I remember so many things about Ginola, mate, honestly. But the one that made me laugh was the best when they all said he was fat, right? He took his top off and went,
David O'Leary called him fat.
I was like, fat, are you having a laugh? So that was hilarious. But there's so many stuff. Remember in Gaza when he come out with the Ginola wig and he was training with the wig in Everton. But yeah, he was just boss, wasn't he? He was so good. Could go left, right. He had it all, mate. Absolute quality. Hands down for me, he was my first pick of this team.
Yeah, he was. When we were starting to prep this 3 or 4 days ago, you were like straight through to David Ginola must be in this. Forget the fact that he played for Spurs. Ginola must be in it. Interesting. 58 appearances, so not a huge amount of appearances. Between 95 and 97, and only 6 goals, but it was more the magic that Ginola could do. There'll be a numerous amount of assists in there. Scored a stunning long-range strike versus Ferencváros in Europe and helped fuel the Entertainers with dazzling wing play is what's on my notes here. And if we go down to the chat as well, what have we got here? Laurent Robert, outrageous talent. Jeff says can only be Ginola on the left wing. Honourable mention to Laurent Robert and Jonas Gutierrez. Ginola for sure, says Vincent. Laurent Robert is up there too. I love Laurent Robert. I did love Laurent Robert as well. There's an arrogance about Robert. He could fire balls in, from 30 yard out with screamers. I used to buy him for my Arsenal team on Football or Championship Manager back in the day, Laurent Robert. But Ginola was special. Ginola was magical. Ginola got you up off your seats at Newcastle. And for me, he must be the left winger in this side.
Yeah, definitely. Hands down. 100%, mate.
100%.
Not even close.
100%, and he was good at Spurs as well. He was very, very good at Spurs. And what do you reckon Ginola would be worth in today's world?
Loads of money, loads.
If Noni Madueke's worth 55 fucking million, then what is David Ginola worth in this current
day?
He's
worth 100 million, 100%, 100 mil.
Proper player. proper
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Used to scare right backs. You know, also as well as
he played footed as well. People
Yeah.
say about he played on the left. He could turn people inside out, honestly, and he could move too. For a big guy, he could actually move. He could dribble through, and oh yeah, I loved him. Honestly, I thought he was absolutely quality.
When you think as well, back in the 90s, when wingers typically hugged the byline, got it wide, got the ball into the box to two strikers because of the formation. He didn't. He did what you see in modern football today, cutting in, cutting back out, chopping it in, chopping it out. You know, this is another thing I miss about the modern day game is players like Robert, players like Ginola, they had shots. They had shots from all over the place.
Because what they did, they picked the ball up deep, they dribble through, they go past 2 or 3 people, they'd be knackered, which is fair enough, and then they get the shot off and bang, whacking it. You know, that's what made football so good. You know, some of these wingers now, they don't try and beat a man. They don't try and dribble, and that's why I'm so glad we got Kudos. I'm just thinking, could someone beat a man for a change? And yeah, Ginola, you just give him, he said, you just go, put the ball, just give me the ball. And let me do my stuff.
Welcome to Sandro Tonali, who's missing pre-season training to come in and watch the Footy Social Club just to see if he's making the list. And Jeff's already told him, sorry, Sandro, you're only third in my X11. Baxy's in here to wind Christian up about Noni. Yeah, look, you can carry on, Baxy. 6 seasons signing Chelsea players. It's becoming a joke, in all honesty. But look, you know, Ginola goes for the same price as Lamal. Yeah, Ginola was magic, mate. Absolutely magic. Baxi says, you two are definitely Newcastle fans in disguise. We're not. We just like talking about football. We've got a big, obviously, Newcastle following here, so why not? We'll do a few of these different clubs over the coming weeks.
Who are we going to do next, Chris? After this one, who are we going to do next? Which club?
What about, we won't do United because no one really cares about United. We won't do Arsenal. We won't do Spurs. We could do Chelsea for a laugh. I think Chelsea would be quite interesting. Premier League.
Yeah, we'll do Chelsea.
Dennis Wise.
Yeah, Zola,
Vialli. Yeah, we'll do Chelsea next Friday. Baxi, make sure you tune in for that one. Tell your 5 Chelsea mates as well. So here we go. Don't disagree with you on Sandro, just not yet. Welcome to You Never Walk Alone. We can do Liverpool as well, no problem at all. Happy to do a Liverpool X11. We'll do them all before the start of the season. We'll get the so-called top clubs in, so make sure you keep an eye out for them. We'll get them posted early so you know that they're coming out. Can you do it? Baxy's doing his best to wind me up. Right, let's go from Ginola from the left to the right, and this man was truly magical. Nobby Solano, two different spells at Newcastle. A wizard. Look, he could play more midfield centre as well. We've got him on the right. How much did you like this man? 230 appearances for the Toon, Gaz.
What a crosser in. Unbelievable. He was a great player. Peruvian, wasn't he?
Peruvian. Yeah, the man from Peru.
Yeah. Quality. I think he's the best thing to come out of Peru, to be honest. I don't think anything else has come out of Peru.
Other than the Inca Trail.
Other than the Inca Trail. And, Estupiñán's the other one. Other than that, no, anything else, much else. But no, he was quality, wasn't he? So Nobby Solano all day long.
Nobby Solano. So yes, Nobby Solano, have to mention Hatim Ben Arfa as well. Honourable mention to Hatim Ben Arfa. I love that. Solano all day, says Stephen. The Peruvian Beckham, says Giniesta. There's some
Peruvian food as well.
Delicious Peruvian food as well. Baxi says, I love the AI usage, mate. That is a true photo of Nobby Solano, my friend. No AI image on that one at all. That is just literally tidied up. No AIs on that one whatsoever. Bobby was one of my favourite players, but not having Peter Beardsley in this list is blasphemy. My favourite player growing up, says Vincent. It's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy to pick them. And it depends on the formation as well.
The formation is a killer. That's the problem, you see. So, like us going 4-4-2, which we should have gone 4-3-3, because the two we're going to mention in a second, like one you could go, one has to be in there, and one you could pull out for another striker. And we'll have a debate in a minute of who it is, but Yeah, it's the formation is difficult, isn't it? It is hard because there's a lot of good players, and attacking wise, Newcastle had so many good attacking players.
Yeah.
Unreal. So
Yeah.
this was difficult.
Nobby Solano, 230 appearances, 37 goals, a free kick maestro, including, you know, a trademark winner against Everton in 2002, and obviously a firm fan favourite. Played for the club between 1998 and 2004, and then back in 2005 to 2007. I'd arguably say he's amongst some of the greatest Premier League imports as well, Gaz.
All day, for sure, 100%. Yeah, you can just tell by some of the highlights of when you look at some of the 90s highlights and stuff, and you'd always see Solano, you know, banging crosses in and deep crosses in. Another one I'd like to mention as well, and I quite liked him as well, is Gillespie. Gillespie was quality as well. Keith Gillespie, bit of a gambler, bit of a drinker. Quite like him actually. My type of
Keith Gillespie. I mean, he joined from Man United, didn't he?
Yeah. He's got a very good book, by the way. I don't know if you ever read his book, the autobiography of Keith Gillespie, but it's a very good read. I read it once on holiday, and you know, in the sun, and it was very good.
Jeff Barlow says, Vincent, I agree. Beardsley is in my team. Impossible to leave him out.
I know, and you wait till these centre mids, because you're going to get pelters here, because you chose these two centre mids. One I can get away with, but the other one I think you need to somehow Beardsley in. I don't know how you're going to do it.
We'll come to him in a minute. Morning to Dino. Hope you're well, mate. Don't know what my phone. I don't know what's going on there. Guys, don't worry. Says Sandro Tonali. Isaac has said he will never join Merseyside. Well, we shall see. We shall see. Who else have we got here? Alexander. So we've also got Alexander Isak that's joined it. The Newcastle Barmy, the Newcastle players are all in. There must be not much going on pre-season here at all. Sad that Ben Arthur never reached his full potential, says Vincent. On his day, he could run rings around players. Absolutely, he could. Absolutely, he could. But Hudson Ben Arthur was very good. It's just that Nobby Solano was better. Beardsley Shirley says MFS. Rule Fox is another one. Fox.
I remember him.
Rule Fox was a top player as well. He didn't play for Norwich and Tottenham as well. Rule Fox.
Norwich, yeah, got him from Norwich, yeah. No quality. Rule Fox.
Isn't there a story about Rule Fox selling pornos out the back of his car to youth team players? I think it was Rule Fox. I could be wrong. Maybe I have to go and check that one out.
Surely homemade porns, I hope.
God, yeah, exactly. Surely a 5-man bench needed for this, and there's more than 5. I've almost got honourable mentions for about 11 players after this, so don't worry about that. We can talk all about them. Morning to Tamina. Got Gyökeres into Arsenal next. Tamina, I've got an Arsenal podcast coming out later today. Go check out the Arsenal Social Club. We will talk about Gyökeres. We'll talk about Christian Norgard. We'll talk about Noni Mada, Bloody Wacky, and Eze, and all the others as well. So check that one out. It's already out and up. So check out the Arsenal Social Club for that. Beardsley is the most skillful player I've ever seen play for Newcastle United, followed by Gaza and Ginola. Guys, I can tell you I don't even have Gaza in as an honourable mention.
Gaza, you haven't even got in, and that's what's criminal.
Didn't play Premier League though, did he?
Yeah, he did play Premier League. Yeah, he was on towards Everton
for Newcastle. No, for Newcastle. They've got to have played Premier League for Newcastle.
No, he didn't play Premier League.
There you go. Newcastle. I'm saved.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I'm saved.
Yeah, he left
Did Beardsley play Premier League for Newcastle?
89. Beardsley played Premier League for 93.
Here we go. I've got the stats. Yeah. Beardsley, 93, 97, he did. 129 appearances, 25 goals in the Premier League. He did. I've got Beardsley number 10, not a winger. Beardsley, did Shay Given get goalkeeper, says you never walk alone. He absolutely did get given as goalkeeper. We discussed Shaka Hislop, Pavel Cernacek, the guys brought in Tim Krul, Nick Pope. We talked about Steve Harper as well. Gaza was pre-Premier League, says Jeff. Absolutely correct. Chris, you look like John Ruddy. Well, that's better than... Who did I have yesterday? I had Johnny Sins from Pornhub. Tyson Fury I've had a few. So the missus was quite impressed. She went and checked out Johnny Sins to see if I did look like him. So, yeah, you know. just to see who I look like. Yeah, I had a few. Jason Statham, I get him as well every now and again, but I'm definitely
did she look at Johnny Sins and said, "Is that what it's supposed to look like?"
Yes, she said, "Oh, he's a good-looking man with a really good body," and I was like, "Well, he's definitely not talking about me. Definitely not talking about me." Right, here we go. Right, off from these ones, we'll go to the two centre midfielders. Nobisano, great player. First one. Oh, deathly silence. Rob Lee. Go on then, guys. You'll be getting it on a slight delay. Rob Lee, I can see, is on screen. Let me know your opinions on whether Rob Lee should be in Newcastle's greatest ever Premier League side. What says MFS?
There you go. Box to box, he was good. But for my God, mate, how he got in this team, no.
Jeff Barlow makes it 1-1. Yes to Rob Lee. Fantastic player.
No. For me, I had to get him in. I'd have to. It's only because I had three, to be honest, up top. But no, for me, there's too many other better players. Rob Lee, I'd have Beardsley in there, and there's other ones I'd have in there.
Rob Lee played for Newcastle between 1990 Premier League appearances, 10 years, 267 appearances, 34 goals for the Toon. Played for England as well. Box to box, you talked about there, Gaz, wasn't a thing during the Premier League. Iconic player, Rob Lee, captain the club there. You can see with the armbands as well. Lads, where's Bruno? Says Isaac. Well, Bruno's not done it enough yet, I don't think.
No.
There's Aaron. Hello, darling. I prefer Johnny Sins. Or Johnny's. Yeah, there we go. See. Anyway, you can have Johnny Sins. I'll leave you to him.
Send him the link. Send her the link.
She says she prefers Johnny Sins over John Ruddy. There we go. See, the question is, darling, what about Jason Statham? There we go. But yeah, look, Rob Lee. I think Rob Lee deserves to be in this Newcastle team. Is solid for Newcastle.
I don't.
You don't? You don't care?
No. He was decent, but he doesn't get in this team because we've left like a monster out in up top for the three. Newcastle need three strikers because they've got some really.
We've got two, Gaz. We've got two,
but they need three. The people you like. I want to say when we get to the striker in a minute. We need three strikers at Newcastle. We really do, because you can't just have two, because you're leaving out absolute weapons.
Too late to change it now. All right. So okay. Rob Lee splits opinions. Jeff Barlow says he was the Lampard of the early Premier League years, box to box. I completely agree. I think Rob Lee is an icon for Newcastle United, an absolute icon. You know, you don't play 10 years for a club in the Premier League if you are not good as a player.
Yeah. Next guy is Cert.
I understand both sides. Hard to put him in the all-time X11, but what a solid, loyal servant Rob Lee was.
Yeah, I'll go along with that one. I'll go along with that
Vincent.
Statement. Is that Vincent? Yeah, I'll go along with that, Vincent. Bang on.
But doesn't deserve to be. Great player says you never walk alone.
Yeah. But there's all-time.
But there's a but.
Premier League all-time Premier League players at Newcastle. And we've got Rob Lee in there. It just doesn't link for me.
Good one. Erin says she prefers me. That's what I like to hear. Right, let's go on to this man. The great Gary Speed. God rest his soul.
So
taken
sad.
Far too young. But what an incredible player Gary Speed was.
Complete football player, this kid. Had it all. Everything. He could have played anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Yeah. Strong, dominant in the air, big threat going forward, chipped in with goals, captain, Wales, like main
great
man.
For Leeds, great for Everton.
Great for Leeds. Great, yeah. He had it all, Speedo. Absolutely has it all. Quality player. Had to get in this team. And I'd be very surprised if any Geordie didn't put him in.
Yeah. I think he's right up there in Premier League history as well.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he was great in the air as well. He used to score some really important headers.
Everything.
Captain Newcastle in the new camp against Barcelona, and ever present. It's honestly, it's tragic. It's tragic that he is no longer with us. Obviously, he went on to manage Wales as well. He was great at international levels. You think about him playing with the likes of Ryan Giggs as well. He's one for me, Gaz, that could have played even higher. And I don't mean that disrespectful. He could have played in the good Manchester United sides of those days. He could have played in the good Liverpool sides. He was that good, Gary Speed.
Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't for people like, Brian Robson and people like, he was that Brian Robson type of player. So everyone knows what Brian Robson was like. He could do it all, a tackler and goal scorer and a proper complete midfielder. And that's Gary Speed.
Yeah,
he could do it. You see these people now and they say, "Oh, he's a 6, he's an 8, he's a 10." Gary Speed was a 6, 8, 10.
Yeah, yeah, and he could do a job as a 9 if he absolutely had to on a Saturday afternoon.
You could stick him left wing. You could put him on the right. He would do a good job anywhere. He is that complete player. I was a big fan of Gary Speed.
Would he be in your top 10 midfielders of all time in the Premier League?
He'd make the squad for sure. For sure, he'd make the squad.
And I know there's been some very good Premier League midfielders. If we go, what about top 10 central midfielders in the Premier League? If we narrow it down,
central midfielders, yes. If top 10 central midfielders, he gets in.
Yeah, he was super.
The other likes of Scholes and
Vieira, Keane, Gerrard, Lampard,
and he slips into them.
He was a very good player. Vincent says, "Rest in peace to Gary Speed." Can't argue with that. He was the man in the middle of the park for us for so many years. Jeff Byler says, "Yes, you have matched my 2 central midfielders. I didn't do too much wrong then. I got that one right." Gary Speed was a wonderful, wonderful footballer. Right, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We've had the 4. Or we had the 4 across the back. So for anyone joining now, we've got Shay Given in goal. We've got Warren Barton at right back. We've got a centre half partnership of Fabian Schär and Philippe Albert, and then we've got Jose Enrique at left back. We've got David Ginola on the left wing. We've got Gary Speed on screen with Rob Lee and Nobby Solano on right wing. And let's just see who comes in next.
And what did I say that?
It's that man.
All
Has
day.
to be, doesn't
all
he?
day.
How good? Guess how good? We all know how good Shearer, but how good do you think he is underrated on a world level?
Unbelievable. Unbelievably underrated on a world level. And it's because he had that barren spell before Euro 96. But Venables come out and went, "No, you are my man. You are my guy. I am going to put you in." But he had a bit of a bad sort of international spell from about pre-96, 95, 94. He wasn't quite right. Wasn't quite the same guy. But since then, phenomenal for England. But yeah, never ever got the plaudits for me. Like 303 appearances, 148 goals for Newcastle. And that's just for Newcastle.
Yeah, 260 leading goal scorer still in the Premier League. In the Premier League, still even now. And you think of the great strikers that have played in the Premier League.
But the 260, the weird thing is that even prior to the Premier League, 260 goals, I think he scored another 40, 50 odd goals for Southampton.
Yeah.
As well. So he's way over there, way over 300 goals.
I got massive respect for what he did. It was his lifetime ambition to always play for Newcastle. Let's not forget, Ferguson wanted him at United.
Yeah, turn it down.
And he turned it down to play for his boyhood club. Shearer could have been sitting there with, I don't know how many Premier League titles, a Champions League medal, FA Cups, and whatever else. Was unfortunate as a stand-in manager to take them down. Fell out with Michael Owen as well, who doesn't get an honourable mention at all in this podcast. When I think of prime Shearer, I think back to the Channel 4 and Serie A on a Sunday, and I think of the Inzagis, the prime R9 that was then at Real Madrid as well, and whatever else. Like if Shearer had been called Shearadinho or something like that, I think you would have talked about him on a completely different level. And I just think the Premier League almost wasn't big enough. It wasn't watched globally like it is now. You know,
if you had Shearer now,
what's he worth in today's market? Go on, guys, let me know. Write down your figure, what Alan Shearer would be worth in today's market.
I'm going to go for $250 million. I'll go 250 mil. He was like unbelievable. Like, easily. 200 mil,
300 million, 200 million, 250 million. He was so good. He was so good. Where does he make England's all-time X11? Yeah. He is that good. You know, do you as Newcastle fans feel lucky that he did stay for as long as he did? Because he could have played. Alan Shearer could have played right at the very top. I'm not saying that, you know, not playing for your boyhood club, it was a different generation then. But, you know, I love the fact, Gaz, that he put playing for the club that he supported as a boy, that he went to as a boy with his dad, above trophies. In a day now where, you know, think about the barrage of abuse Harry Kane gets for not winning trophies.
Yeah, same thing, innit? You know, boyhood club. What's it like? At the end of the day, Gerrard hit the nail on the head in one of his things when Gerrard nearly left Liverpool. When you're a fan's favourite and you're a boy, you know, your boyhood club where you've always wanted to play, it doesn't mean anything if they go and win trophies at Chelsea. And he said to I think he said his uncle said to him at one time, he said, "What happens if I win this and win that?" He said, "It won't mean anything because you're not doing it for Liverpool." And it's the same with Shearer. That FA Cup, right, will mean everything to him. He won the league at Blackburn, right? But I'm telling you what, that thing with Newcastle, he appreciated that way more, I bet you.
Yeah, he was very emotional when Newcastle won the League Cup as well. Pictures of him at Wembley crying and whatever else. You know, it's kind of nice to see that from former players. But he is an unbelievable striker. As I said, I think if the Premier League had a bigger exposure back then, my God, like Alan Shearer could have played for Barcelona. Alan Shearer could have played for Real Madrid. Alan Shearer could have played for prime AC Milan, Juventus, Man United.
Anyone.
He literally could have played for anyone. And for me, he definitely makes England's all-time X11 for sure. Yeah. You know, that would be an interesting pick. Where you'd go with that one, you'd have Kane, Rooney, Shearer.
Yeah, I'd have Kane, Shearer, Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah. Shearer had everything. Morning to Nobby Solano. You've missed your name on the sheet, Nobby. You were in at right wing. A lot of fans forget Shearer had 2 serious knee injuries and still got 260 Premier League goals plus 13 First Division goals. He was a weapon. Alan Shearer was a nuclear weapon when it comes to Premier. And he scored so many different types of goals as well.
That's what makes me
headers,
so like him so much.
Tap-ins. I think back to the goal against Everton where he like half volleyed it from about 40 yards out and it smashed into the back corner. He had it all. He literally bend it from outside the box, you know, 4 yards out. He had it all as a striker.
And that's the other thing as well. People don't quite realise the ball wasn't the same back then.
No, it's heavy.
Right? It was heavier. It was awkward, and it was like that double rims and stuff. It was heavy to kick and stuff, and he would just whip it, and it's just pure power that made him, you know, get that sort of bit and dips and all that stuff. He would have a field day this modern era, I tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. He definitely would. Should we go on to the other one that's really going to be controversial? And it wasn't my pick, guys. It was not my pick. The man sitting next to you on screen made this choice. And there we go.
No, I did not make this choice.
Alexander Isak,
You
partnering Alan Shearer. Well, look, if we're going to talk about Isak, given the fact that the Geordies don't want to lose him and he's irreplaceable and whatever else, excuse me, then he has to be in the Premier League all-time X11, doesn't he?
No.
If he's irreplaceable. Geordie fans said yesterday, Alexander Isak is irreplaceable. That means he has to be in the greatest Premier League Newcastle X11.
But no. so no. So what we should have done, we should have had 3 up top, and the 3 up top, in my opinion, would have been Shearer. Sir Les not getting this is a disgrace, right? Ferdinand all day long, and Cole the goal, Andy Cole, right? Cole, Ferdinand, Shearer, front 3 all day long. But you wanted to put in Rob Lee, and now you've gone Isak. And I like Isak. Don't get me wrong. I think Isak's a wonderful player, but he ain't no Andy Cole, and he ain't no Ferdinand.
Here we go. So I'm not getting as berated as I thought I would, which is kind of good. And it was, and this is the beauty of it. It's about having opinions. Nope, not yet for Isak. I think Cole is ahead of him. I questioned Andy Cole, given that he was only there for a short period of time, and the fact he sodded off to Manchester United. And I remember the Newcastle reaction when that happened as well. And I wondered whether or not you would consider him an all-time great. And not being a Newcastle fan makes that a little bit more difficult to ascertain. But, given the discussions about Isak, I considered that you guys might consider him an all-time great. Vincent will come on to some of the honourables. They're going to appear on screen, and there's not every one of them either. Andy Cole is missing from them, but he is an honourable as well. We'll come on to those in a minute. Don't worry about that. Yes, a little bit too soon. Ferdinand is close with Isak. I personally, just for the winning us the cup, I hate leaving Isak out, but Cole, Sir Les, Shearer was different gravy. No honourable mention for Faustino Asprilla. We'll talk about Faustino Asprilla. Yeah, the Colombian wonder kid. He had marching powder in his boots, that's for sure. Disgraceful from Newcastle fans. Leave now. Alexander, the Liverpool fans trying to wind up the Geordies. I think Isak's a wonderful player. I think he's a wonderful player. Yeah. But yeah, the next one, Gaz, we'll go on to the manager.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Because it came down to a choice of 2, and I know you really wanted Graham Souness in there, didn't you? No Souness, no Dalglish. It comes.
Party was close.
Steve Bruce.
Brucey, yeah.
I mean, Rafa Benitez. Before we go on to them, guys, give me your thoughts on Rafa, because Rafa was loved by the Newcastle fans. He stayed in the Championship as well. He got you back up. He clashed with, I don't want to say Mike Ashley's name, but I have to say it so who I'm 100% talking about. But Rafa probably deserves an honourable mention before we show who we've gone with as our manager. Yeah, there you go, Ginesta. We adore Rafa Benitez. Love Rafa, says Vincent. Rafa probably deserves an honourable mention for this Newcastle side, Gaz.
Yeah, for what he did and staying, and he kept him up, and no, he was quality, mate. I was a big fan of Rafa. Good manager, got didn't pull his punches, did he? Wasn't afraid to make big decisions, which is good. Liverpool fans absolutely adored Rafa.
Yeah,
adored them.
Yeah, Stephen says Eddie Howe all day because of the silverware. Which other Champions League winning manager would go down to the Championship and bring us back up? Absolutely, and I think that deserves an honourable mention. I think Eddie Howe deserves an honourable mention. He is not the gaffer. Rafa staying when we went down was what made us love him, says Jeff. Good manager on top of that. Absolutely. And I think Rafa possibly could have stayed longer if it wasn't for the F-wit that own the club in Mike Ashley, who doesn't deserve anything honourable in this this conversation. I can't stand the guy whatsoever, and he's a Spurs fan, Gas, so it speaks volumes for him as well. But yeah, I mean, I think Rafa could have stayed longer. Should we go on to who we've gone with, and what a man he was there on screen? Sir Bobby Robson, the great Sir Bobby Robson.
All day.
The honourable mention to Kevin Keegan, who had a great Newcastle side, who ran Manchester United close. But Bobby Robson, Sir Bobby, had Newcastle in the Champions League. made them competitive, had them more organised, I think, than Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, definitely. And what he did for England as well. He was just a quality guy, perfect man manager. Knew how to handle players. That was his best asset, I think. Probably not the most technically gifted of, probably of setting up systems and things, all that back in the day. But it was different back in the day. It was more about managing personalities and managing players. And, what a free run he gave, like, Gaza in the World Cup and stuff. And, putting up with his shenanigans. And, but no, Sir Bobby, surely to God. I know it's a tough one between him and Keegan, wasn't it? We were close.
Yeah.
But I think he shaded it for me. I want to see what the Newcastle fans think of this one, because is it Bobby, is it Keegan, or is it somebody else that we haven't said? Let's see what they're going to say.
It's a tough one, purely on the basis of the fact that you've got Eddie Howe who won it. You got Benitez that stayed with them. But I just think Bobby was something about the glint in his eye, the passion, local.
He had that aura, didn't he?
Oh,
he had
didn't
that
he just? Didn't he just?
He interviewed him. He just, the way he softly spoke, just didn't shout. Just went. Everyone listened.
When you saw him in the wheelchair, days, weeks before he passed away, taken around the stadium by his son was very, very moving. I'd love to know if anyone was there that day, because it was incredibly moving. Tamina, I can see you in there talking about Arsenal. I'm just going to pin it in there for you. There's a link to the Arsenal Social Club right there for you, Tamina. It's going to be out in about an hour or so's time. I'll pin the message. Feel free to follow the link, hit the notification button. I'll be on to the Arsenal Social Club channel for that one later, so you can go check that one out. Tamina, I'll be talking all things Arsenal. Bobby too. So 1 Sir Bobby, 2 Eddie Howe, 3 Kevin Keegan. Interesting that Eddie Howe moves above Kevin Keegan. I can only assume that's for the delivery of a trophy. First one in 70 odd years. Craig, morning to Craig. If SBR had taken over Newcastle straight after Keegan with no Hullet or Dalglish, he'd have won trophies, possibly the Premier League with Newcastle. Talking about Sir Bobby Robson, the biggest compliment is he's like Sir Bobby Robson. I mean, Sir Bobby Robson could have won major honours with Newcastle. Definitely could have won major. I think what Sir Bobby Robson was fantastic at was the way his man management of players. That's what made him special. Whether it was Laurent Robert, whether it was Paul Gascoigne. You think about the 1990 World Cup, how he handled Paul Gascoigne. Yeah. An iconic.
While he's playing tennis with the bloody Germans at midnight before like the biggest semi-final of his game. Like, I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. He's a brilliant manager. That's for sure. Eddie Howe is like Sir Bobby Robson's son, humble and intelligent. Absolutely. He definitely was.
That's
Shepherd sacking Bobby was a disgrace. Yeah, absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. Sir Bobby Robson should have been able to leave on his own terms, I would say. If we want to talk about a Newcastle great, then you'd leave on your own terms. Gaz, we've gone through the 1 to 11. We've got the manager. Should we talk about some? We've talked about some of these honourable mentions, but we'll bring them up on screen right now.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's 12 people, including 11 players, including the manager. And look, we still don't have Andy Cole in there. There's others, but there's some we haven't talked about. We've got Pavel Cernacek, we've got Shaka Hislop, Kieran Trippier got in there, Jonathan Woodgate is in there, Colaccini, Gaz. How good of he was he as a centre half?
Colaccini, I said about him, I'm a big fan of him. Brutal centre half he was. He was tough tackler, like leave something on you and more. I'd say he's done many a studs on people's legs. He was brutal.
Yeah. You've got the likes of Johan Cabaye in there. Johan Cabaye was a really good player.
French, was he French?
Yeah,
French?
Ended up playing for Palace. I think he could have played a lot higher as well. Nobby says, I want curly hair too. Don't we all?
Curly hair too.
Don't we all? Yeah. Vincent says, glad to see Cabaye in there. I think Johan Cabaye definitely. There was a point where Johan Cabaye was playing in what I class as a poor Newcastle side, and again Johan Cabaye was in there. Got linked with Arsenal as well at that time. You know, Johan Cabaye was a very, very good central midfielder. Next to Johan Cabaye in the window of Gaz there, you've got Peter Beardsley, who for many of you felt that Peter Beardsley should have been in this Newcastle team. How would you have done it differently? Would you have changed the formation to get more in? Could have just gone with 8 up front, I think. Could have just gone the true Newcastle way, pissed off all the defenders, the midfielders and whatever. Have 1 in midfield, 2 at the back, have a monkey rush goalkeeper and play 7 or 8 strikers up there. Would have been absolutely amazing. There's a special mention obviously to Bruno Guimarães. He doesn't make this team at the moment, although I think he could become a true Newcastle great, Gaz.
Yeah. I think it's hard to put them modern players at the minute in this setup because they haven't got the longevity yet. I think if we did this pod in 3 years' time, they'd probably squeak in more than likely. But no, not yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Next to Guimaraes, we've got the one and only Faustino Asprilla. Again, at a time, Gaz, when there wasn't huge amounts of foreign imports.
Quality. I'll never forget that goal. Stabbing it. I remember learning it. I've got a mate called Tino. We called him Tino. He used to love it. He used to kick the ball out and he'd just jab it and it would try and spin and all that stuff. You try and jab it round like a tree or something. And the spin on that ball when he just hit it and it just went, it was going miles wide. And it just checked and went, and then just went in. It was just quality. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Tino and he was just cool as computer. He'd do his little flip then, wouldn't he? And Tino Asprilla. I got a mate called Tino. And he's named after him.
Craig. There we go. No, Waddle. Jesus Christ. Did Waddle play Premier League for Newcastle?
No,
I don't think he did he?
No,
I don't think Waddle did. I think
League.
he was at Sheffield Wednesday by then.
No, he didn't play Premier League. I think he was... No, he went like Marseille and all that. And
I don't think Waddle ever played Premier League. Great player. What a player Waddle was. Waddle and Hoddle. But Premier League only is what it says on the ticker there, Craig, at the bottom. Is this Newcastle's best Premier League X11? Faustino Asprilla was magic though. And he did the little somersault celebration as well on the cartwheel, let's call it. Brilliant player, Faustino Asprilla. Next to him, an honourable mention, and you guys have got the likes of Demba Ba, you've got others down in the list as well. But I've gone with Shola Amiobi.
Sammy,
obviously, his brother definitely doesn't get so much of a mention. But Shola Amiobi, some would say he maybe stayed around like a bad smell. Wasn't the greatest of players, but he gave his all for the club. Yeah. And for that, I think he deserves an honourable mention.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I liked him. I thought he was good. I said, they called him the Mackham Killer, Vincent. So obviously he likes him, but good player. Amiobi, solid.
At Newcastle for 14 years, 312 appearances and 43 goals. The Mackham Slayer, indeed, 7 goals versus Newcastle, and very much a cult hero, popping up in the big derby moments. And if you want to be a hero amongst the Newcastle fans, the one thing you do is make sure you beat the Mackhams. And if you can score goals against them, then you're certainly going to be a hero. So I think Shola Amiobi deserves an honourable mention in this Newcastle Premier League X11, who might have been in it. Next to Shola, Gaz, I'll let you talk about Sir Les.
Oh, man. So I'm a big Ferdinand fan. Little story, actually, when I was in South Africa, we're going to Bloemfontein. We're driving to Bloemfontein in this hired car, and we pull up and filling the car up now. And who walks out the shop? Les Ferdinand, right? Come walking back to his car. And as I'm filling the car up with fuel, I just let go of the pump and I just went straight across to him. They're like, "You're not filling up, guys." Now I went, "Ferdinand's there, and Les." So a picture with Les. So I got a picture with Les. That was quality. A big fan of him. He was quality for Spurs, quality for Newcastle.
Another striker unlucky with England in that generation, because you had Fowler, Ian Wright, Les Ferdinand, Teddy Sheringham, Alan Shearer, Andy Cole.
Michael Owen.
So many good strikers in that era.
Yeah, criminal. Andy Cole. It was criminal. It was, and that's what made it so different. That's why sometimes you see some of the England strikers now, and that's why I don't put the same emphasis on some of the England strikers. I think Kane's in his own little element now, but there isn't anybody else. That's why I don't really rate Ollie Watkins all that much, because Ollie Watkins wouldn't get anywhere near them once you just mentioned.
Neither would Dom Solanke, mate.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, he wouldn't. Neither would Dom Solanke. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. So, but it's what Solanke does for Spurs, which is the running, which is it's different, I suppose. But no, as in an out and out footballers, nowhere near as good as them. Solanke, nowhere near as good as them ones you just rattled off there.
No. And then Keegan, Gaz. Keegan in there as an honourable mention. I think we all know about Eddie Howe, and I think Eddie Howe's longevity could make him Newcastle's best ever manager. And I know he's won a trophy, but I think that Keegan deserves a mention. Was at the club twice. Ashley brought him back in, didn't he? On his return, he couldn't quite do what he did, and he didn't last very long. I think he obviously fell out with the hierarchy as well. But memorable for the famous interview when the pressure was on, and ultimately the pressure got to him with Newcastle, but involved in some absolute magical moments in Newcastle history within the Premier League. Some of them fall in the wrong way. I'm talking specifically about the Liverpool games, but they ran Manchester United so close in 95, 96.
Yeah. They were very unlucky, weren't they? Unlucky. They did blow it. Were they 12-point lead, 13-point lead? It was a lot, wasn't it? They were unlucky not to get that one done, but they were the team to watch, though.
Yeah, absolutely. They were a cracking side, Newcastle. I think there was a point there in the mid-90s where they were like everyone's second favourite team, and it was because of the likes of Ginola, Asprilla, Les Ferdinand, Shearer, Philly Albert, Shola Amiobi, Shea Given. It was because of those players, that everyone liked Newcastle United because they played exciting football.
Bums off seats, and get your bums off the seats, and that's where the excitement is. So all day.
Did we miss anyone else out, guys? Let us know in the chat. I'm just going to have a quick look at what else is happening in the Premier League at the moment. Let's just have a quick look. Sky News reporting that Barcelona's top left-wing target is now Marcus Rashford. That's interesting. Arsenal willing to let Leandro Trossard leave. Fenerbahce have agreed personal terms. Interesting. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, Nona Madueke due in at Arsenal.
How much would he be worth? How much would he be worth now?
10 to 15, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I would have thought something like that. Palace have signed Croatian international Borna Sosa from Ajax for $3 million. We've got plenty going on. I'm looking forward to seeing that Tierno Barry play for Everton next year from Villarreal. Spurs will be feeling happy at Atletico Madrid. Gaz have ended their interest in Christian Romero.
Yeah, good.
Don't think anyone else will come in for him.
Well, Madrid were, but I just think now that Konate thing is going into his last year of his contract, I think they might just see it out and try and go and get Konate.
Maybe. Special mentions here from Jeff. Mentions for Bellamy, Dyer, Tiote, Batty, David Batty.
Yeah. Dyer. Kieran Dyer, yeah.
Yeah, Kieran Dyer. There we go. Hi, it's me. So sorry, can't join in today at work, but have to say Tino Asprilla gets in my Toon team every day of the week. Enjoy your show. We'll watch it later. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Hi, it's me. Thank you very much for watching at work as well. I always wonder what people are doing. I suppose it's depends on where you're watching around the world, but always interested whether people have got, headphones on phones or laptops or whatever else, watching the Footy Social Club whilst they're doing whatever else they're doing about their day. Guys, that's it for this one. A little Newcastle special on a Friday. I will be back. I'm on the Arsenal Social Club very shortly, talking all things Arsenal. You Newcastle fans won't want to be there for that one. But I'm sure you guys might join me tomorrow. We'll have the latest Premier League updates on the Footy Social Club. So make sure you join me for that one. And then Gaz, you're back on Monday as we go through any of the latest breaking news. What are we now? We're about 4 or 5 weeks away from the season. And of course, the Club World Cup this Sunday. Paris Saint-Germain versus Chelsea, set to be epic. Paris Saint-Germain, I think, will win it 4-0. Guys, if you can't join me tomorrow, whatever you're going to do, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for getting involved. If you haven't already, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you're doing that as well. Help the Footy Social Club grow. Spread the word as well. Share this link amongst your friends. You must have plenty of Newcastle friends as well. So share this link. That helps the channel grow massively, gets people watching. So yeah. But otherwise, guys, have a great weekend. And Gaz and I will see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.